Putin's folks have shown interest for quite a while to speaking with me. So you've spoken with him. What advice would you give?
Oh, do it immediately. How's your Russian, by the way? Have you kept up with it?
Yeah, fluent. So it would most likely be in Russian.
Oh,
so that's the other thing is, I do have a question about language barrier.
Oh.
Like, did you feel was it annoying?
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. I mean, I don't have much of a technique as an interviewer, other than listen really carefully. Yeah. That's my only skill. I don't have the best questions. I certainly don't have the best questions. All I do that I'm proud of and that I think works is I just listen super carefully. I never let a word go by that I'm not paying attention. It exhausts me, actually. But you can't do that in a foreign language because there's a delay. Here I'm just whining, but it's real.
Well, it's not whining. Like, can you actually describe the technical details of that? Are you hearing concurrently, like at the same time?
Yes, but there's a massive lag. So what's happening is, so the translator, so we were, of course, extremely uptight about the logistical details. So we brought our own cameraman, who I've been around the world with, who worked at Fox, came with me now. Amazing. And he did, I mean, it was our cameras, lighting, everything. Like, we had full control of that, and we had control of the tape. The Russians also had their own cameras, and I don't know what they did with it. But we had full control of that, and we brought our own translator. We got our own translator because I don't trust anyone, right? So I think we had a good translator. We had two of them, actually, because they get exhausted. But the problem is, from my perspective, as someone who's like trying to think of a follow-up and listen to the answer, Putin will talk, and you can, in part of your ear, hear, the Slavic sounds, and then over that is a guy with a Slavic accent speaking English. And then you can hear Putin stop talking, and then this guy's answer goes on for another 15, 20 seconds. So it's super disconcerting, and it's really hard. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter how good your translators are. I'm interested in language. I speak only English fluently. But I'm really interested in language, and I know, and I work in language. It doesn't matter how good your translator is. In literature and in conversation, you miss so much if the language is moving for you. I mean, you see this in Bible study, you see it in Dostoevsky, you see it everywhere. If you don't speak, Aramaic, Hebrew, Russian, you're not really getting. I mean, even in romance languages, like I like Balzac. Okay, who's obviously wrote in French. You read Père Goriot, it's an amazing novel, hilarious. And it's like, you're not really getting it. And it's not that, French and English are not that far apart. Mm-hmm. Russian? Like, what?
Plus conversation. So the chemistry of conversation, the humor, the wit, the play with words, all this.
Exactly. And my understanding of Russian, as a lover of Russian literature and English, is that it's not a simple language at all. The grammar's complex. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that's expressed that will be lost in the translation. So yes, I mean, the fact that you speak native Russian, I mean, I would run, not walk to that interview because I think it would just be amazing. You would get so much more out of it than I did.
And we should say that you've met a lot of world leaders. Both Zelensky and Putin are intelligent, witty, even funny.
Yes.
So like there's a depth to the person that can be explored through a conversation just on that element, the linguistic element.
And Putin speaks decent English. I spoke to him in English, so I know that. But he's not comfortable with it at all. But Zelensky is, I think.
No, he is. Well, he's better than Putin at English, but he's still the humor, the wit, like the intelligence, all of that is not quite there in English. He says simple points, but the guy's a comedian, and he's a comedian primarily in Russian, the Russian language. So the Ukrainian language is now used mostly primarily as a kind of symbol.
I'm aware of that. It's a political
independence.
decision. No, I know.
And he is, his native language is Russian language.
Of course, as a lot of people in Ukraine.
But you can also understand his position that he might not want to be speaking Russian publicly. That's something
I don't think they're allowed to speak in Russian in some places in Ukraine, right? That's one of the reasons that Russia was so mad, is that they were attacking language. And that's a fair complaint. Like, what? And by the way, if you haven't been to Moscow in a while, you should see it, and you will pick up a million things that were invisible to me and you should assess it for yourself. And my strong advice would be, even if you don't interview Putin, go over there, spend a week there, and assess what you think. I mean, how restricted does the society feel? I mean, it would take a lot of balls to do this, because whatever you decide, you will be sucked into conversations that have nothing to do with you, political conversations.
Yeah.
You're obviously not a political activist, right? You're an interviewer, but I think it would be so interesting